Well, the battle of the X's continues. And I'd love to say this is a steamy sex scandal, but no, it's just plain old media grift scandal. So, at the latest reach of the war among the exo-Scientology people, Mike Rinder is the werewolf we all need to kill. And I have my own issues with Mike, but the people denouncing him are, they're on very, very thin ice. But Nora O'Donnell will give us the light as to why it's okay to hate the Aftermath people, but why we need to love the SPTV Foundation people because they've been lying to you. They've been falsifying the evidence. And how does she know this? Well, because she assumes so.
If I could cross Leah out of this picture, I would. It's just Mike. Okay, because he's running his own little mini cult that is set up only to protect him. Okay. So I feel like, and Chris works with them, and that's fine. That's Chris's choice, Chris Shelton. But to come to a thing like this, where we are all we actually had a really great time, guys.
So basically, Nora got very upset at a recent conference where survivors spoke that the Aftermath Foundation, shocker, which is dedicated to helping survivors, advertised itself. Yes, only Nora would think that's a scandal. And the scandal is they use Serge, beautiful Serge, who was homeless for years and has an insanely tragic story. Lost his hands, homeless, but the Headleys found him, helped him, got him a job, and even got him some hands. But Nora's like, nah, Serge can't even speak for himself. I think you're using him. You're manipulating him. And of course, then you think to yourself, well, wait a minute. I mean, Serge was homeless. Why didn't you help him out? Well, you see, Nora's in Portland. She's far away. She couldn't help. Oh, okay. She's very far away in the Oregons. Oh, okay. But wait a minute. Nora grew up in Hollywood. She grew up in California. She spent a long time in California, but somehow kept missing Serge. So no, that game is not going to work. She could have helped them, but she didn't want to. So, yeah, Serge being helped by the Headleys doesn't work with her hero story. And here's another twist. Mike Rinder recently spoke to Michelle, the wife of Rachel, who is gay and she experienced quite a lot of homophobia in the Sea Org. But eventually she left, she got married, and they have kids now. And Mike and her were having a good old conversation. And there were some highlights, which I'm not going to get into here. I don't want to do a full breakdown. But here's the problem. So Nora's saying with Serge, which is true. I mean, there's no nice way of putting it. He obviously has diminished capacities. I mean, he's been physically and mentally just in a difficult place for decades. So maybe the Headleys are taking advantage of him. Okay, that might make sense. That's plausible. Okay, let's be reasonable. But then it's like, wait, is Nora saying that Michelle, who is now on the board of the Aftermath, she's being brainwashed? That she's being mind controlled by Rinder? Again, you could still criticize Michelle. You could still criticize Rinder that they're not doing enough. There are inconsistencies or hypocrisies. But Nora's assumption that, well, they're using Serge because Serge can't speak for himself. Maybe that's true. I mean, obviously he's in a difficult position. But what about Michelle? Is she saying a Navy veteran can't speak for herself? Or she has similar disabilities? What's going on there? Listen, some people are going to associate with Rinder, perhaps not for good reasons. Being cynical, Rinder is going to help people here and there. If it's in his self-interest, the Headleys will do the same thing. Now, is that the right reason to help people? Probably not. Could there be better people at the Aftermath Foundation? Absolutely. I think it's very corrupt. It's very questionable. They have very weird links to, yes, Satanists and some weird Hollywood people. So the Aftermath Foundation is a bit of a question mark. However, Nora is now aligned with the SPTV Foundation. How many people have they helped? Zero. They don't have any Serge. They don't got Serge. They don't got Michelle. They don't got Rachel. They don't got nobody. At this point, they have literally helped no one. The only people they've helped on the record are themselves. Their big accomplishment so far is giving Liz Gale, a board member, money. So you're like, huh? So at this point, Nora's herself has a very poor track record of helping people, frankly. And then she has a very poor track record of her foundation helping people, but the aftermath people are the bad guys. Now, that may be true, but at this point in time, Nora is way worse and way more selfish and toxic. Those are the facts. She can't change those. So now we're going to go on the propaganda offensive and say, I think Serge is being manipulated. He's in a very vulnerable state. Okay, but what about Michelle? I mean, she spoke with Mike Render. Are you saying she's in a vulnerable space that Mike Render applied the mind control techniques of L. Ron Hubbard? I mean, listen, some people don't like you. Some people recognize you're a toxic grifter and you're a liar. They don't like you, and they will associate with Render over you. Now, the fact that they would rather associate with the head of OSA and when he was active in the Scientology over you, yeah, that's devastating. But that says more about you than Render, namely that you are less trustworthy than an OSA agent, and that's your problem. That's not technically Mike Render's problem.